Hi guys, welcome back. So this is the Who Will Win the Rugby World Cup Take 2 for the eagle-eyed amongst you there. I did release this one a couple of days ago, but I made a faux pas. I'd missed out Scotland. I'm very, very sorry. So I need to re-record it and get my figures right here. And in the meantime, I've had a little bit of a rethink, not a major one. But if you ask me every week who's going to win the World Cup, it's going to change slightly. So I'm going to put up the odds. Now the question is, if you play the World Cup 100 times, how many times does each team win? What are the chances of winning? So I'll put up my results straight away on the side. It's purely subjective, it's a bit of fun. Sure, you're probably going to differ a bit, but it's the main themes that I'm thinking about here, which I found quite interesting. So, straight away, New Zealand in there, 50%. So at least 50% of the time, I think New Zealand are going to win this World Cup. So if you played the World Cup twice, New Zealand are going to win one of them. Now, I really challenge anyone, if you really think about it, surely that's true. New Zealand have got to be around that 50% mark of winning this World Cup. Some might say higher, some might say slightly lower, but it's got to be about that high for me. So then the big question is, that means there's only 50% to chop up for all the other teams. So actually, New Zealand really do look the runaway favourites. Now, that's not to say they're going to win the World Cup, because of course, 50% of the time, due to these odds, they're not. But it's just that it leaves less for the others. So let's have a think. So I thought, who could win the World Cup? Now, everyone could, but who would register on the scale really, meaningfully to win the World Cup? Now, the one team that I think has kind of come up on the rails who could have their best World Cup ever is Fiji. Now, Fiji have had historically a lot of talent, but they haven't really had the organisation. The fitness in the past has been an issue, and some of these things are starting to be resolved. Sure, they're battling a lot of problems still. I mean, have a look at Ben Ryan's Seven's Heaven book, if you want to have a look into the details of the problems in Fiji, but it's better than it was. And they're going to have a good stint of time together, and we've seen from their results already, they've got potential. They could win some big matches, and if things fell into place, they played a couple of big games and they got a little bit of luck, maybe it could happen. Okay, it's unlikely, hence I put it at 0.5%, but I'm starting to see that could happen. Hopefully that will get better and better as the years go on. Now, next in there, I've put Argentina, a little bit higher, 1.5%. It's very unlikely. I really can't see Argentina winning, but they've got a chance, and their chance is slightly higher than Fiji because a lot of their players play together in the same team. The Jaguares pretty much are the basis of the national team, plus they bring in some foreign stars. So the coordination problems are going to be a lot less. They're going to have a lot more, time to actually work on the finer details rather than just work out a system, if you like. I don't think they've got quite as much talent as Fiji. They've got obviously some very good players like Matera are amazing, but certainly coordination-wise, there's no excuses for them. Then I've only put France in at 2%. Now, you might think France have got a good World Cup record. Why only 2%? Well, quite simply, their record over the past few years has been abysmal, and they've played some shocking rugby. Now, sure, they could raise it for the World Cup, but can they really get through a stack of games at that level? Well, there's no evidence to say that is the case. So I'm only putting them at 2% at this World Cup so far. Then we move up to the next tier, and I've got Australia and Scotland about the same. Now, historically, Australia have done a lot better than Scotland at the World Cup. But recently, they haven't been the force they used to be. In fact, Australia are nowhere near a classic team, the team they used to be. Plus, they're missing, I think, two of their best players. Israel Folau isn't available, as we all know. And another big player, Will Skelton, they can't pick because he's abroad and he hasn't got enough caps. And that's two massive players I think they really needed for a chance. Sure, they're still going to be very good, but 5% is what I'm giving them at the moment. Now, along with Scotland, Scotland are in a better place, as in they've got all their players available. But they haven't proven really that they can string a lot of good performances together in a row. They've definitely shown they've got the ability to beat anyone on their day, but at the moment it seems like it has to be on their day. That consistency we haven't seen yet. The talent is there, they're exciting, but again, I'm putting them around that 5% mark, so not too shabby there. Then up to the next four. Now, you could argue a percentage between these guys either way, but really, I see Wales, Ireland, England and South Africa as 4 quality sides, you know, below New Zealand, who could beat New Zealand, who could beat each other. You know, it's a bit of a bun fight between those 4, hence I've put them all on 9%. You'd certainly say against New Zealand they wouldn't be favourites, and to, you know, get to that final is going to be tough. But, you know, to share it out unequally I think would be unfair, so I'm putting those all on the same. Now, obviously, I'm hoping that all adds up to 50%, because New Zealand have the other 50%, because I really do think 1 in 2 times New Zealand are going to win this thing. So that's my thinking. Tell me if you differ on it. It all really bases on, do you think New Zealand are that strong favourites or not? They're probably not quite as strong as they were last time round, but I think they're just as strong as they were in 2011. So, you know, really 50% is where I think it is, and the rest are scrabbling for the scraps. Anyway, please let me know what you think on that one. A little bit unexpected, possibly, a little bit controversial, but very interesting. Send me your percentages, and until next time, I will see you then.